The eyesores shown here, abandoned or underused properties known as brownfields, act as economic, environmental, and social drains on towns and cities from coast to coast. Some estimates show that there are 5 million acres of abandoned land littering the nation, dragging down tax bases as well as community spirits. Among EPA's many grant programs aimed at helping to restore these sites, the agency offers free technical assistance called Targeted Brownfields Assessments, or TBAs, to help communities assess environmental conditions on brownfields and prepare them for revitalization.
The TBA contributed directly. Now we have safer water quality, we have safer land quality. You can walk on this space and not worry about being affected by something that is lurching in the ruins of the old businesses that were here.
The TBA program is not a grant program, but a free contracted service in which EPA performs environmental assessments and develops cleanup strategies to meet the community's needs. Who can get a TBA? States, local and tribal governments, regional councils, economic or industrial redevelopment agencies, and nonprofit organizations. TBA assistance is available through each of EPA's regional brownfields offices. Unlike brownfields grants, which are selected through national competition, TBAs are evaluated by EPA regional personnel. What makes a good TBA project? Municipal commitment to help transform the site, a revitalization vision, the ability to leverage funds for cleanup if needed and redevelopment of the site, community support, and property access. EPA Region 3, which covers Delaware, DC, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and West Virginia, has conducted more than 220 TBAs. In West Virginia, TBA funding has been used to transform a number of properties, including a former pottery production site now home to the Rock Springs Business Park.
Just to give you an example of exactly what type of impact this program has had in our region, we have received approximately $600,000 in Targeted Brownfields Assessment assistance. We've actually been able to leverage an additional $5 million in grants and loans. That has been used to leverage almost $33 million in private investment in projects in Brooke and Hancock County. And these are projects, brownfields, that if it were not for this program, we would not see that private investment.
Targeted brownfields assessments have a number of advantages over traditional brownfields grants and have been proven very effective at removing barriers and generating the momentum required to transform brownfield sites. The barriers are either perceived or real contamination to groundwater, soil or sediment, and surface water that may be an impediment to local redevelopment and revitalization. Lead-based paint and asbestos are also real contaminants typically found in and around existing buildings that prevent the repurposing of these structures in a redevelopment scenario. Environmental site assessments provide critical liability protection for property transfers, identify the scope of contamination, and provide cleanup options as well as cost estimates. Once the assessment is complete, TBA recipients are encouraged to collaborate with their respective state environmental cleanup programs to determine next steps, which may include additional sampling, a cleanup approach, or clearance for redevelopment.
The City of Norfolk, like many other localities, has more needs than resources. We have to balance the needs such as education and public safety with the assessment of properties such as Harbor Park. The Targeted Brownfield Assessment allowed the city to use these resources while we could still focus on other priorities of the city. Partnerships with the Commonwealth of Virginia have been critical in the brownfield process. After receiving the Targeted Brownfield Assessment, Norfolk received state brownfield money. That partnership allowed Norfolk to further the work in Harbor Park.
Several years ago, Norfolk came to the state of Virginia asking for some brownfields assistance. Norfolk received a Targeted Brownfields Assessment subsequent to that, and then used that as a match for state brownfields money, which then led to several other grants from the EPA. It's been a tremendous success both for Norfolk and for our facilitation. Everybody has been scared of what might lie beneath the slabs out here and underneath the ground. However, with the Targeted Brownfields Assessment, we've been able to determine that the contamination issues are not significant at all, and coupled with the redevelopment and revitalization plan can be easily managed.
In Philadelphia, TBA funds have helped to transform a community, creating an arts and education center with modern stormwater management practices and a community greenhouse where a crumbling parking lot and liquor store once stood.
Our work with the Environmental Protection Agency and our TBA not only enabled us to impact in a positive way our facility, but our neighboring community as well. We've had over 8,000 students who've taken advantage of our programming, which is a beautiful opportunity for us to show that there's wonderful things that you could do in urban settings that relate to the environment, that ties into curricula, that helps to educate students, but most importantly transforms quality of life.